Hey everybody, this is Sty Company here. Welcome everyone to today's live stream. Today is March the 5th. It's March 5, 2024. Hope you all been doing well today. Hope your day's been doing excellent. And hope your month of March has been doing well too. Now, for today's live stream, we're going to be talking about another episode of the Sped Dad series here. And this has been kind of with recent developments here. So, for those of you who may or may not have been aware, uh, my dad was moved to like he's been living in like a senior center or complex is what he likes to call it. But truth of the matter, I think he doesn't even know where he's at anymore. Um, but essentially, he was moved on like end of February to a place that does like memory care, and I don't know who decided to move him there or if it was like his own doing, but he basically is there, and I got to do some investigating to figure out why he's been acting crazy because he's been doing a bunch of weird things and a lot of new things have been going on as well. For example, whenever I try calling him, he seems to always be busy with something. Like he has no time to talk, and I'm like sitting here thinking, like, what in the world is he doing that's keeping him so preoccupied? And oh, here's what where it starts getting weird. Like if I call him up, regardless of the time of the day, it could be in the morning, it could be sometime around noon, it could be right early in the afternoon. He always be like, "Oh, I'm busy eating dinner." And what I've noticed is that he's eating dinner earlier and earlier in the day. And right now it's like he goes to dinner at 3 p.m. Okay? 3 p.m. in the afternoon. It used to be 4, it used to be 5. And in my mind, it really should not be that early at all. It should be like maybe 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. And I don't know why he's having such a weird schedule, but apparently that's what he's been doing is eating dinner super early in the day. And then he's like, "Oh, I have no time to talk." And he typically, whenever I call him up, he seems to be disoriented, out of place. And like, he's like, "Oh, I have no time to talk. Let me call you back in an hour." But he never calls back in an hour. And so whenever I do manage to call him back, because he doesn't call me back, he's like, "Oh, I'm so sleepy. Oh, I have nothing to do. I have like I can't talk to you." Like this weird like I can't talk attitude, which I have no clue why he's acting that way, but basically he has like this weird thing like he doesn't want to talk, like he wants to avoid conversations, doesn't like any confrontations as well. And so within the last week it's been like I'm eating dinner, I can't talk, I'm going to sleep, and it would be like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm thinking either he's got a very weird like what's called a messed up what the term is called circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is a thing in psychology where it's like, I wake up at a certain time, I eat at a certain time, I go to sleep at a certain time. And his is like pushed way early in the day than what would be considered normal. And so, what I think has been going on is I suspect that they've been giving him some sort of like meds, like some kind of sleepy medications, medications that induce sleep, maybe melatonin. I don't know what exactly, but there seems to be a kind of an infamous thing all across the United States where a lot of like senior centers, retirement homes, other like probably memory care as well falls into this section too. But they like to give people a bunch of sleep medications to get them to basically quote unquote shut up and go to sleep and don't bother me medications. Um, and I suspect that he probably is getting some of that, but I don't know for sure because you can't really tell until you actually go and see for yourself. But because of all that, that's part of the reason why I want to get him probably up to North Carolina eventually. But we're kind of stuck in a situation where I cannot do that because one, he needs to be put on a wait list prior to even being able to come over here. And for me to even put him on a wait list, he needs I need to check and make sure he has all his IDs. I believe he does have everything with that requirement. But he also needs bank statements, and I can't get that. So here's where it gets weird. Okay, I called him up today, and I got somebody calling me on the phone here. All right, got took care of that. So I call him up, and he's like claiming that he ate lunch. Now I have to call him as well to make sure he ain't faking. So she calls him up at like 3:15 in the afternoon, and uh, she's and he's telling her, "Oh, I'm busy. I can't talk. I'm eating dinner." I call him at then. I'm like, "Well, okay, 3:15. That's weird, very weird." But let me call him at like 4 something. So I call him up at 4:30, and around 4:30, he's like, "Oh, I'm just heading down to dinner to eat." I'm like, "No, that's not what you're doing. Why are you lying to me? You just told, my sister at 3:15 that you're busy in the dining room eating and finishing up food, and that you're busy, you're talking to people while you're eating dinner." And like that's two different things. You're like telling me about to finish dinner versus you going to dinner. So he's been lying with that, right? So I confront him on that, and he's not happy that I'm confronting because again, the confrontation conflict of his is like, "Oh, I can't handle you coming up to me and critiquing my way of life, the kind of weird stuff." So I start telling him, "Hey, this is what's been going on. You've been very tough to get a hold of, and whenever we start actually getting into a regular, decent conversation, here's what his tactic of what he likes to do." I'm like, "Hey, how are you? What you been up to?" He will disregard completely what I say, and he's like, "How are you?" And I tell him what's going on. I tell him, "Hey, this is what's been going on recently in my life. So tell me about yourself. What have you been doing?" "So how are you?" That's his thing. Like he starts acting like people call it a broken record or parroting. I've heard that term as well. Um, and the idea is like he wants to avoid using his mind to think to remember. That's like his coping mechanism, right? He doesn't want to be proactive. It's like he doesn't want to think. Essentially, is like one of the things we've noticed. So, question becomes, what do you do from there, right? And so what I've been thinking is, I started like telling him, "Hey, we need to get you to here in North Carolina because this is starting to get weird, right? Because you're not talking to people, you're acting funny." So I tell him, "Hey, here's where you are on the wait list. Like we have the documents, right? Out of after a lot of tough work, with people going to Georgia, coming back home, and this and that. We finally got your driver's license, and everything else that we need to put them onto a wait list. But the last thing that's missing is we need bank statements." And I asked him, "So, hey, we need the bank statements. Where do you bank?" He doesn't remember where he banks. He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I suppose it's where I was banking before." I'm like, "Okay, where were you banking before?" "Oh, uh, call the school, talk to the master so they promote you." I'm like, "What in the world are you talking about?" That's his answer. I'm like, "Where are you banking before?" "Call the school and talk to the headmaster so they promote you." I'm like, "What are you're on about something that's not even part of the conversation?" And I'm like, "So, like, why do you not know where you bank?" "Oh, I got to do some research. I got to go head to the bank to find out where my money is." And I'm like, "Well, you don't know where your bank is, okay? And you're saying you're going to go to the bank. How are you going to do that?" "Oh, that's easy. I need to check my stamps. I need to count my stamps," right? That's his next thing. I need to talk. I need to collect my stamps. I need to count my stamps. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So he starts changing the subject to him like needing to like count stamps in a book or something. I'm like, what does that have to do with you telling me where your bank is? So at this point, it's become evident that he doesn't even know where his bank, who he's banking with, where his money is. He doesn't know if he has any money at all. And then he's like, he throws me another curveball, and he's like, "Oh, I need to work online. I need to make money online." And I'm like, "Okay, so how do you plan on doing that?" Oh, I'm gonna go to doing some teaching. I'm gonna take a class to investigate. I need to research more before I can tell you about something. Oh, let me talk to you more when I read some more and study some more about something that I don't know what I'm talking about. That's just like that's his thing. Like he starts going into what I call a mental loop, where it's like, oh, I can't think, I refuse to think, and I'm going to blabber about some kind of off-topic thing, and then start getting hooked up and like, what do you call it? Like twisted into this own weird, separate strain of thought. And that's one of his weird issues is that like he keeps going on and on about this weird like topic, and at this point we don't know what to do because he acts like he's a freaking mental asylum patient at this, which makes me again think that he's on some weird medication. Now, the next thing though, which is the next part of the research that I'm trying to do on my end to figure out, what's going on, why is he acting so weird? I start calling up some people, and the one thing I was able to get into was that apparently my uncle decided to get a like case manager of some sort, and this case manager is in charge of like taking care of his health and letting us know what's been going on, right? So the next thing I'm told is that there's a website that we all have to log in, and if we log into this, so this apparent website, we can have access to his information. And I'm like, okay, and like, so I'm like, let me go to this website, log in, but when I do that, nothing comes up. So that's pretty much where we have been stuck at this point. So yeah, we think that he's been and he's going crazy, more sped basically. And that's pretty much where we're stuck at this point, is that we need to bank a statement so we can put him on a wait list to move him here. And then the next part is that we need to get in touch with um, one of like another member who's in charge of sending money to cover his like rent or stay where he's at. And the weird thing is that he's my dad's been changing stories about what's been going on. He's like, one day he's like, "Oh, I'm here by myself. I'm alone. I don't know what to do. Save me." And the next day it's like, "Oh, I'm with my former caregiver, my lady who comes to visit me each day. She sleeps with me each night." And that's his weird thing that he keeps like blabbering about. Or it's like, "I don't know where I'm at. So I have this lady. I don't know who this lady is." And she's yelling and screaming at me. And I'm like, okay, something doesn't add up here. Either you're by yourself or you're with somebody. And apparently, officially, he's supposed to be by himself in his own separate like apartment at this complex. So again, that kind of leads to like, okay, we need to figure out what's really going on. Let me talk to the guy who is funding his stay there, because clearly he doesn't have his own money. Somebody was funding him before, but now there's a different person sending money for him to live there. So basically, again, we got to have a conversation, probably as I guess, a family, to figure out, what's the current status. So yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on at this point with all these new complications with my dad, him being sped and just going crazy at this point. But yeah, guys, so if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to Thigh Company. We are finally over 1,600 subscribers. Over 1,600 subscribers, guys. Awesome. But yeah, make sure to subscribe if you have not already. Hit the bell icon so you get future notifications for future live streams, videos, and episodes. Give this video a like, and also comment down below, what would you like to see for future videos and live streams and topics for us to cover? Feel free to comment down below, guys. Otherwise, this has been Thigh Company. Thank you all so much for watching today's episode. Hope you all been doing well. Stay safe and happy March.